my goodness.
Welcome to Arctic Lake Placid. We're in the Adirondack Mountains in upstate New York. The temperature is hovering around -20 Celsius. It is a cold, crisp and blissfully breeze-free day at the venue for the 1932 and 1980 Winter Olympic Games. We're ready for the action in the second race of the two-man bobsleigh World Cup. The first of two heats up shortly. I'm Martin Haven, alongside me John Morgan, Lake Placid resident and slider at this facility since the age of, what, 3 or 4 years old, John?
Yeah, I didn't get on this track, though. This track was built in 2000. I was on that other one that was built for the 32 and 80 games, but this brand new track, start record Mel Bardis and Drieskins, has been around, but I'm telling you, this track is such a challenge, especially when the temperatures are cold like we have today. Up top, curves 1, 2, 3, cliffside, taken from the name of the old track built for the 32 games. Whiteface is another curved name taken from the old track, and this is where you start to accelerate. 75 miles an hour speed in here. They call it the Devil's Highway for good reason. Now you go to 8, 9, 10 combination. 10's Shady, Shady 2. Another copied name from the old track, now into a three-corner combination in the labyrinth. Watch the action. We're going to show you the way these sleds climb the curves right here. Benham's Bend. Now in the chicane. 80-mile-an-hour speeds into the heart. 18, 19. It's still not over here. And then this big finish curve, and you go in uphill. A lot of uphill section here. You can make some mistakes in and around the finish. Martin, as we saw for the skeleton race, the best guy in the world this morning, Martin Stukars, he tipped over on the finish curve, went through the finish curve upside down. This is a challenge from the top to the bottom slider.
Well, if you thought the skeleton sliders were wild, wait till you see the bobsleds here. The ice is a lot colder, a lot harder, a lot faster, even than in training yesterday. And the temperatures, well, it's pretty Arctic out here. Everybody warming up, and they will be desperate to keep those warm weather clothes on until the last possible second. There's Canada's Chris Spring. Lamendine, yeah, the British guys. Only one sled racing here. Bruce Tasker is competing in Altenburg this weekend in Europa Cup. That's the second tier of bobsleigh sliding. All the Russians are here as well. Alexander Zubkov, president of the Russian Winter Sport Federation and double Olympic gold medalist. He is here.
There's our Korean challenger. You know, Martin, it's a lot warmer than it was this morning at 8:30 when the skeleton race kicked off. It was -15 this morning. It's above zero now. But boy, what a challenge for these athletes. They got to get warmed up in this weather. And then they got to go out and sprint. And you know, this is winter sport. This morning was a little unfair, not only to the skeleton athletes, but to our TV camera crew.
Yeah, the TV crew doing a great job. They're going to be out there now for the next 4 hours. Benny Meyer will be first on the ice in our two-man field. We've got 19 sleds here. No German sleds. They are training and testing new equipment back home in Germany. 10 days on track before Christmas to try and work out which of their multiple sled combinations is going to work best. Our World Cup points leader in two-man is the multiple world champion Francesco Friedrich. He won the season opener in Whistler a fortnight ago. He comes up shortly. Austria's Benjamin Meyer with Markus Sammer behind him. Benny Meyer in really good form yesterday in training. Some good quick runs. Diving himself into this Lake Placid track, and he will be our first sled down the mountain.
Sammer drives two-man bobsled. We saw that in Europe last year, but they've just decided he's the best athlete they got. And Benny Meyer's the future of the Austrian Federation, so they ordered him to the back of the sled, and big mistake there on the exit of 1. 2, watch the sled 3 here. Look at the runner tab. You saw him playing with the runners trying to get control. Now, you know, when it's cold like this, you don't have as much control, and we'll see that in these sleds coming down the track. It's been frigid here.
Picking Stephen Holcomb's brain last night, and he said, yeah, when it's this cold, you get less bite from the runner, you have to anticipate the steers more, but the little slides cost you a little bit less because there's less friction, so it's a little bit mistake neutral.
Oh, that's great right there. Speed in the left, that's the telltale sign. 182.3 miles an hour, quick at 18-19. Still got challenge there. He taps on the exit of the finish. 19.55. 12, that's, well...
Track record 54.61 has stood since November the 29th, 2003.
51 hundredths away.
Yeah.
Well...
Pierre Ludis and Giulio Zardo in that race put the start record at 5:01, the track record at 54.60.
Shady, the pivotal part of the track for the speed in the bottom. He's a little high there, and that outlet comes under and taps. But boy, did he shoot this chicane. This is not a straight piece of track. There's an S there. Look at the runner tips, the aerodynamic profile of the team. That's as good as we're going to see in the next 25 sleds.
Good run through the chicane. Rudy Rinaldi of Monaco. Monaco. There's no R in Monaco. That would be Morocco. Boris Van behind him, his brakeman. And again, you can see them disposing of the warm weather clothing at the last possible second. Almost nobody using gloves as a driver. They want the feel. They'll put up with minus 20-degree steel handles.
Look at the size of Boris Van. Watch him get in, get down, cat-like movements, and put into an aerodynamic profile. He's a big rugby player. And aerodynamics on this track, not as important as Whistler, but still plays a big positive to the bottom part of your, the track here, because it is 80+ miles an hour.
Monaco have never had a two-man medal on this track. For that matter, not too many nations have in the last 13 seasons. USA, Switzerland, Germany and Italy, only countries to have medaled here apart from Latvia.
And Rinaldi won a Junior Olympic Games bronze medal at the 2012 Junior Olympics. And it's, look, that's not good.
Yeah.
Look at the way the nose of the sled there had to re-steer.
But he was 200 behind
late there, almost crashed.
Wow, look at the speed he's got. Still only 200s behind. What a wild run.
83.8 miles an hour.
No, 700 behind.
That's advantage Rinaldi, even though he had all those problems in the bottom part of the track. Usually Benny Meijers is a lot farther ahead of him than that. Boy, he almost crashed out at 18-19. He had some problems on the exit of the chicane. Watch this, the sled comes to the left side of our screen. It's not easy going through there. That's why I said how good Benny Meijers was. Now he sets up. Watch the nose of the sled here. Here's 18-19. They're going to show us now. Watch the back end here. Front end of the sled. Two runners.
They set the start record of 5:00.
Late.
You don't know how close.
Well, they're getting higher speeds there than they did in training. Lamin Dean from Great Britain, third sled on the ice. Judah Simpson, his brakeman behind him. And Judah did the last day of training with Lamin yesterday as well. Lamin Dean, the British team's FIFA 2017 champion at the moment, one match away from annihilating all the opposition. He wanted me to make very clear that there are no real opponents in the British team. He welcomes all comers. Chris Woolley, the coach there at the top of the track, helping the guys here. And the rest of the British bobsleigh team over in Altenburg.
Well, good athlete here in the back of the sled. Simpson's a sprinter. 5:27. I don't know why they get that type of a start. There's something wrong there.
They were a little tentative with a hit off the blocks. So Lamin Dean just behind.
Wow. 5:14 is the best start.
Now this is a borrowed sled, so this is not the sled that he's regularly driving. Raced it in Whistler, raced it here.
Intense back. Lamin more of a four-man pilot. Oh, boy, nice lines there. These sleds are a little bit better than we saw in practice yesterday.
He can shoot the chicane, though, gets a double tap, but at least he got away without the skid, so this could just squeeze him up closer to the leaders.
9 miles an hour. He's coming back from that deficit. He might get it to single digits. He does.
Top speed, 84.5 miles an hour. Got down to 900s away.
For being down 13 hundredths at the start to only be down 9 at the bottom, that's a good drive by Lamin Dean. You know, the brakeman is so important to ride in the sled. Look at the brakeman here.
Exciting stuff here on race day.
His head bumping around.
Yeah, look at the G-forces
buried in the sled.
Maxim
and here he doesn't get through. Remember, Benny Meijers, first guy down, came through there as perfect as you can come. But Lamin Dean did a little good job on the bottom part of that track with some driving.
Russia's Maxim Andrianov with Ilya Malik behind him. Andrianov had a pretty good couple of days in training in the two-man and in the four-man. Just looking back, in the last 12 seasons, not one two-man medal of any colour for a Russian driver.
That's
Beg your pardon. No,
yeah,
no,
Zubkov.
2010-11. Zubkov got silver.
Yeah, Zubkov had to.
Took me a while to find that.
Russians got great history on this track, and it opened. 13th place for this team last week in Whistler.
And their two star drivers from the last couple of Olympic rotations are both here. Alexander Zubkov, who of course won double gold in Sochi. And before him, Yevgeny Popov was their big star. He's here coaching the team as well.
Boy, he sits really high up in the tower here. Most of the Russians have settled in there pretty good. He looks a little bit too high for me.
Janov, I'm not sure he's raced on this track before at all.
I think he was here last year. We've seen him 1500s back. Not bad considering that the start time was decent. Watch out! Now the chicane.
Last year, Kazyanov and Alexei Stulnev for the two drivers here.
Boy,
Kazyanov
down to 500s. This is going to be close. He's finding speed on the bottom. He's got him.
got the lead.
He's also got the 84.5 miles an hour. That's the leader for. There's some good driving there. He had the second best start time. He was 900s behind Meyer, but bottom part of the track did not have the cleanest line through there, but great speed.
Yeah, second fastest sled. That was picking up ground all the way down. Leads by 1200ths of a second from Austria's Benny Meyer. Look at that. His brakeman very happy with that.
Best speed, 84.5 miles. No, it was Lamandine.
Yeah.
The Russians had 84, 83.9. Look at the unbelievable pictures we get here.
Again, takes the little tap in the chicane, and that sends him out
did.
to the driver's left.
But he did not sweep too much there. He was in a pretty good line.
From the Netherlands, Ivo de Bruin with Dennis Venker behind him. These two guys working on a budget that makes your shoestring look positively affluent. €5,000 for the season. That's about $5,000 US, or 4/5 of nothing. That is their budget. So these guys working on heart and whatever else they can raise themselves.
That other little Dutch sport called speed skating, I think gets most of the money in that country.
Tends to. 5:33 getaway.
Now it needs to be perfect.
Long drifting slide there out of corner two. Touches the ball in three, and again skates down into turn four. And then through Whiteface onto the Devil's Highway.
Watch the back end.
Ooh, rough ride for Dennis Venker in the back seat. Through Shady 2.
He's a big man. He's perfectly aerodynamically positioned in the back, and that's a high line there.
Again, late on the corners because the speed is great.
He's coming back for being that deficient of a start. He's only 3,100s back. Not bad. Well, he drove this sled well, considering the deficient start time. 5,800s back. He was behind by 10 at the start. Speed wasn't bad. Third best speed.
Supported by Wim Normans, the man behind Eurotech Viking Engineering. Proud Dutchman, and very happy to try and give these guys as much support. And he's the closest thing to a sponsor they've got at the moment.
Watch the back end here. This is when you yank to get off the curve, and then it's a little airborne, and then you tap going in, and then, you know, and then this is the Benham's Bend, or no, this is end of the Labyrinths. Boy, you got your hands full coming down this track.
Don't you though? Stripping down to his skinnies is Justin Olsen, the driver. Evan Weinstock, his brakeman, all ready to go behind him. Olsen, a medalist on this track, with Stephen Holcomb in the four-man and in the two-man sled.
Olsen starting to come out as a driver.
Yeah.
And his brakeman, Weinstock, 7.557 point gatherer in the decathlon. And he competed internationally for the United States this summer. So this is a good athlete in the back of the seat. These are two good athletes for the United States right here.
A lot of noise at the top of the track for the American athletes as well.
Great start time, but Olsen still learning. I mean, that's late there. Watch out on this curve.
Big skid.
Corrects well, but he's going to lose a lot of that start that he had. 2100 should have been out farther than that.
Now let's see if he can use his experience. His experience, though limited, is definitely greater than Andrianov's. He's holding a 2/10 and change lead.
Well, again, it's his only second or third year drive and second year in the World, first year in the World Cup. Speed, 29, 28, he's holding the speed.
He could have the lead at the bottom of the hill.
Should have the lead. 27, yeah, he's holding on. Remember,
through the heart.
First year of the World Cup. This is a good drive, good pushing athlete right here. So 54.79, Mike Dion on the right, Brian Scheimer on the left. They like it. This is their project right now. This is the guy they wanted to take over for Holcomb.
Track record has stood since 2003 at 54.61. A first-year World Cup slide from Justin Olsen is at a 54.79, only 1800s away. Track record could be in trouble today.
I think it's going to go down, especially it's getting a little bit warmer here. We could see better times in the second run, too.
Justin Olsen leads for the USA. First 5 sleds down. The second World Cup race of the season.
Track is clear.
USA's Justin Olsen leads in the early going in round 2 of the two-man bobsleigh World Cup. We're at Lake Placid, New York. Alexei Stulnev next up with Vasily Kondratenko behind him. Stulnev raced to 14th position last season in the Lake Placid encounter. That was in January this year. Conditions then, well, training days, I guess the Wednesday, Thursday were the sort of temperatures we've got today, down -20s and lower Celsius. But they haven't trained on ice as hard and fast as this week. Stulnev put himself in medal contention.
1500's back, so that'll grow to 25 or 30 at the next clock, and then he hopes to keep using that expression, stopping the bleeding and then neutralize the rest of the way down the track. Give away that much time up top of the track, it's tough, so that's pretty good. Only be 2300s down there.
Couple of slides, but then Olsen had a couple of slides there as well. But Justin Olsen from here on down, once he got onto the Devil's Highway, neat and tidy. Good exit from Shady, maybe a little early off from Stulnev.
Stulnev is a good driver. Good lines there. If he gets through here with good speed, he can eat into that deficit. He's not falling away.
Double tap and a little bit of a skid in the chicane, and that's going to follow him all the way through the heart and up to the finish line. A little rocky there off 18 as well, off 17.
Well, he lost a lot of time here at the bottom.
Oh, and skids across the line.
There's Alexander Zubkov on the right. The Olympic Games double gold medalist, now president of the Russian Sliding Federation. So they get the times, they get the starts, they put it into their own computers. What's this? Look at the runner tips here. He's trying to get himself ready, and he's got a back end skid going into Whiteface curve. That's not what you want here in this little tricky chicane. It's not a straight piece of ice right there. That's not bad. You know, he had a little mistake, got too far over the left side of our screen, but again, back to Benny Mayer. He was the best guy through there.
Well, Benny Meijers shot the chicane without touching anything. Rico Pater in training yesterday. I'm going to trot out my favourite phrase for the first time this season. More hits than Elvis. He was wild in training yesterday.
Well, last week in Whistler, he should have been arrested as a reckless driver, and he medaled in both events. So this guy doesn't steer the sled. You want to see something exciting, I'll guarantee you this is going to be exciting right here. And most likely he'll be the leader at the bottom and maybe a track record.
Let's take a look, see what he can do. Broer van der Zijde behind him for speed. That's a late change. Broer was not expected to be in the two-man sled this afternoon.
Start.
Van der Zijde in and down, 5:19. Okay, a 10th away from Justin Olsen, the leader.
Look how clean he is there. Look how quiet. Let's watch him here in this. Remember, Olsen tapped up there. He barely steered right there.
Number 3, double tap, skids 2, 4.
Skid into 4. He's only 11 down with a 1000 deficit. He's going to start making this single digits here at the next clock. Do his Elvis thing. 13.
Looking a lot neater and tidier than he did in training yesterday.
That's what he does. See if he can snake through here. I don't know. He's still not eating into that lead 15. So Olsen looks good here.
Yeah. Well, this is not going to be a track record. It's not going to be the lead for Rico Pater. He's still in second place.
He's coming back, but he's running out of track.
Now 1500s, 1500s.
Look at him duck his head. That's a great move.
He's got all the moves. As his coach, Wolfgang Stampfer. You'll hear about him when we talk about four-man, because he's taken four-man medals on this track in the last decade.
Up next, we will have
the runner tips, little tap. Look how low he is there. Got a little skid, the back end, a little on the wrong side of the entrance to 4. Here, look how low his eyes are. He's not steering away, he's just hitting the wall. Let's go straight.
Just soft hands on the rings, allowing the sled to follow the runners. Yoon Jong-won of Korea with Youngwoo Seo behind him. These guys finished in the bronze medal position in the race in January, the first race back after the very sad and unexpected passing of their coach, Goma Lloyd, in the Christmas break. Oh, not a good hit. Seo was on the handles long before one.
Ooh, he ran a long ways there, too. 5:13. Good start. Good start,
They should have been maybe a tenth quicker than that. That was nothing like the hit they needed.
Speed. Keep your eye on that speed on the left-hand side of your screen. 59.4 for them. Olsen is a little bit better, as expected. 700s back. 4-7, so that's pretty good. Ooh, he's late there. Watch the back end here. 6. He's eating into that. Speed, 116.1 is really good on the exit of the white base curve, and now if he gets through here clean, he could challenge. That's not good, but
still only 1100s back, second place ahead of
doesn't have that kind of speed.
He could tie with Rico Peter here. It wouldn't be the first time he's tied with Rico Peter.
16s back.
1600s back.
Wow. Justin Olsen, look at the coaches. Now, the Koreans have a little change in their mechanics. Both their Swiss mechanics are no longer with the team.
Yep.
And a little dispute over sleds. That's another whole story. But watch the start. They didn't hit the start. These guys, look at the cohesion there. Yeah, some, you know, you got to hit it together.
They were a step out.
Yeah, and the brakeman ran a long ways. Really ran a long ways. You know, there's a steep gradient right here. TV doesn't do it justice. That's pretty steep right there. But down the bottom part of the track. Now watch the curve suck this sled right up and then off. And boy, it's tough not to steer there, Martin, but that's the idea.
You got to have nerves of steel, something of steel not to steer there, haven't you?
Another Russian sled.
Alexander Kazyanov, he is the lead Russian slider with Alexei Pushkarev behind him. And Kazyanov last year, really disappointing 13th position finish. The Russians underwhelming here in Lake Placid in January of this year, last season. Justin Olsen leads for the USA. Last American to win a gold on this track, not called Stephen Holcomb, in the two-man was in December 2009. John Napier and Chuck Barkley won two-man gold, and then four-man silver behind Steve Holcomb the very next day.
Well, Kazyanov has won the four-man last week in Whistler, and he did that with a very good start time.
5:28 is a long way from where he needs to be in the two-man.
Really? But he's only 1800s back. Now he's only 19. So watch out. This guy's got the eyes and the hands to do it on the bottom part of this track. If he gets through the chicane here clean with the big speed, look at that. That's textbook.
Here we go.
That's textbook.
Bring him inside a tenth from the leader, Justin Olsen.
Oh, huge speed. 85.1.
Going to be close. Olsen should lead by a few hundreds.
200. Wow. Zubkov knows it. Watch out for this guy tomorrow, the four-man, because he's got a start time of the four-man here. He's 1600ths behind Olsen at the start, loses to him by 200ths at the bottom. So that tells me we still got some top athletes coming up here. Start time still, or the track record still in jeopardy. Look at him play with the runner tips there on the entrance to 4. Look at this speed here. Olsen, 1/10 of a kilometer, Kazyanov was better through that part of the track. That doesn't sound like much, but when you're dealing with, you know, split times 200ths of a second apart from each other, 1/10 of a kilometer of an hour does mean something.
Chris Spring of Canada with Lascelles Brown behind him, 11th of our 19 starters in the field. Last Canadian winner on this track, Pierre Luders, with Lascelles Brown behind him, December 2007.
Lascelles Brown.
I know. And 2003, Lascelles was also sliding then for when Pierre Luders set the track record with Giulio Zardo.
So, the Springer, he can bring it. Lascelles, in, down. I mean, that guy is, what an athlete. He's probably the oldest brakeman in the field. He might be the most fit brakeman in the field, and I would put him up in an athletic contest against anybody in the field.
What a career he's had already, and he shows no sign of giving up. Lascelles Brown, just 700s away at the start.
600s there, here's 600s there. Launches himself into the three-quarter combination they call the labyrinth, and watch the sled there. That was pretty wild. Wild sometimes is fast on this track, and he still got it at 6.
Never had a two-man medal here. Last Canadian to medal was in the world.
Going to be right to the 100th. He's coming back. It could be 100th either way.
100th of a second. Top 3 sleds covered by 2 100ths of a second.
Hello. And we still got 2 or 3 more sleds here.
Coaching the Canadians, Lyndon Rush, who took silver in the gold in the World Championships here in 2012 with Jesse Lumsden behind him. Lumsden also back and sliding.
With a 54.80
That's just
last Canadian medal on this track in 2-man.
See him feather himself through the chicane. He had a little bit of left to right drift on our screen. Good speed in the bottom. Here's the current rank.
Yeah, 300 of a second covering the top 3. Rico Peda in 4th, seemingly a world behind. We still have a few more sleds to go who could be contenders, and this man, Cody Basques, who's got a great chance as well. Adrian Adams on the back of the sled. Cody Basques from Whitehall, New York, around an hour's drive away. Spent almost every weekend as a child, like John Morgan did when he was a kid, doing pee-wee bobsledding on this track.
Well, could be his breakout season. He won the U.S. trials, won all 4 selection races. Little big mistake there. Not a bad start, but that speed, 59.7. Speed wasn't bad, but that little tap before curve 1. We'll find out right here at this clock how much it cost him, because he's only 12 back. That's not bad.
800s behind Chris Spring at the start. So let's see if the gap narrows. No, it's remained stationary. Now he needs to bring it back. He could be in the top 3. Wow. High and wide.
Let's see him come through the chicane.
It's 85 miles an hour, gets 82.5.
I still think that mistake up top. This hasn't been that bad of a drive down. He was late there, but that might be it. No, he's lost it here at the bottom.
The 8th, 9th, 8th at the bottom. Yikes.
5th best start, but that was all thrown away.
Now, what has been the runner choice? How much did they think they were going to get in terms of grip, and was he getting the feel that he wanted?
He doesn't like it. Look at him walk away.
No.
He knows.
Got away from him.
Well, the starts where the problems were, but this wasn't the best either. Back end of the sled here. Look at it. Look at the steering right there. Good pickup by our team. Look at the skid there. Look at that. He was late. Adjusted. The back end came out. And then here in the last part of the labyrinth, out of violent transition.
Justin Olsen leads for the USA. Here is a man who has had 5 two-man wins on this track in the last 8 years. Last 7 years make that. Stephen Holcomb, including the 2012 Worlds with Stephen Langton. His last win came 2 seasons ago. Since then, Francesco Friedrich. In fact, no, I beg your pardon, his last win came last season with Carlo Valdez. He's got Sam McGuffey on the sled today.
Yeah, rotating guys around. as he's been using Carlos Valdez last weekend in Whistler.
Keep them healthy and keep them racing as well. Keep that rotation going. Everybody gets to race. Everybody stays healthy, gets a week off.
Good start speed in the exit of curve 1. Looked like a drift there. 1 to 2 though. Look how quickly he gets over onto the whiteface curve. And if there's anybody that can find fast lines down this track, it's Stephen Holcomb.
1500s away, and he's got, what, nearly 2 decades of experience as a driver overall. He's closing 1200s back.
This is where he can be magical. Boy, big speed there. Watch the lines here. I mean, this is, he could do this line in his sleep.
This is the high.
Oh, he's got a 4. Here he comes. This is what he does.
84.8, close enough for Holcomb to close. Olsen,
Dual speed, 85.5. Best speed. This is the leader. This is what he does for 10 years. Stephen Holcomb, 54.66. That's 500s from the track record.
And the start that set that track record was a 5:01. Holcomb started in a 5:21. Wow. And he comes
still
down,
got the ice in hand.
and he comes down 500s off the record, starting 2/10 slower.
On this Mount
I mean, look at the difference. Look at this. He's got 2 kilometers better speed at the exit of Shady than his teammate Olsen. He's been down the track 500 more times than Olsen as a pilot, maybe more. But there's no doubt Steve Olsen still can drive a bobsled with anybody.
Track is clear from the finish.
Steve Holcomb leads, Justin Olsen second, Chris Spring third. Who's going to break up the North American domination here in Lake Placid? Will it be Dong Young Kim with Jung Lin Jun, his teammate? One lies in 5th, 6th position now, one.
Here we go! Let's go! Big push!
Big push. That is the key phrase with the Koreans. Even those that speak very little English understand the words big.
Look at the best
push.
start.
Yeah.
5:18, not the best start, excuse me. Better start than Holcomb. 60.2 is decent exit speed at a curve 1. That relates to how you push, get in when the driver goes around that first curve. But the exit of curve 3 to 4 wasn't optimal. Still got green numbers. That could be red by the time we get to Shady. Look how late he is there. He's not late, he's just not steering.
Fell off that.
He did pretty good up in Whistler again, I think, one. He finished 6th overall. I think he was in 4th end of the first heat. This is pretty good.
This is one of the new Hyundai branded sleds that's being built by Singer. Yeonjung won in an older BTC that he used last year. That's got the sort of ridge up the nose. The new sled has got a much wider, flatter look at the front of it, a whale shark kind of look. And lower that frontal area. Shakes his head. He comes down in 8th spot.
6th best time of the run. Or at the start, excuse me, and then 8th at the bottom. The speed wasn't that bad. Nothing like Holcomb.
Athlete.
Same speed though as Chris Spring and Kazanoff, and that tap up there.
Tap in the
3
slide.
to 4. Watch the back end here. Whoa! What do you see what the 4-mans look like going through there tomorrow?
Talked about Jesse Lumsden a little earlier. Took a medal on this track with Lyndon Rush in the 2012 Worlds. He's with Justin Kritz. Lumsden returning from 2 years away from the ice. He said that was always the plan, just to take a hiatus after Sochi, go back, do some other disciplines, clear the head, clear the body, come back stronger than ever.
I think his father Neil and family are down here for the weekend. Neil inducted a couple years ago to the Canadian Football League Hall of Fame.
Head coach of the Canadians in the background, Graham Richardson, channeling some 18th century Dickensian villain look with that beard.
Should be a decent start.
5:16, that's enough to put them ahead of Stephen Holcomb at this stage.
Cripps did well in training. Of course, training was pretty cold, nasty, inconsistent weather, so it's pretty tough to be exact in the training procedure when the weather's so inconsistent.
Yet to post a 2-man medal finish here in Lake Placid.
He's got some nice lines going. Losing a little time back to Holcomb, but so did everybody else.
5th position at the moment. Will leave him behind Kazyanov of Russia.
Speed. Doesn't have really good speed.
Holcomb at the bottom, 85.7. 83.5 for the Canadian sled. A little drift across the line, 5th place.
87, again a 54.87 down time.
Didn't have any speed on the bottom. It was like 3 sleds, 4 or 5 sleds behind him that had better speed than he did. Boy, his lines look good. Look at the speed in the Devil's Highway. Holcomb picked up 2/10 of a kilometer an hour up top where they're going 60 or 70 miles an hour, not maximum speed down here. He just caught that part of the S, but only altered his straight position a little bit.
Justin Cripps of Canada lies 5th. Chris Spring of Canada lies in 3rd place, and our 3rd Canadian slider just about to hit the ice. Stephen Holcomb, Justin Olsen leading, and 2nd for the USA. So next up is Nick Polagnato. He is the 16th of our sleds. Derek Plug behind him has become his #1 call on the brakes. And really good to see Derek's family trackside in Whistler. Well, we didn't see them trackside, we saw them
trackside
in Earls. Yeah, all right, okay, fair enough. Busted.
Start time, 15th best start. You know, Polagnato won one of the selection races in the Canadian program between Whistler and Calgary. You know, the U.S. have got Park City and Placid, 2 different personalities. Same for the Canadians. The 2 tracks in Whistler and Calgary provide 2 really good different platforms for the Canadians to train on. Start, though, is his nemesis. Decent lines. Won North America's Cup on this track last season. This is as good as anybody. Benny Mayer was the last person we see come through there like that. Ooh, a little late there at 18-19. So this looks like 15th place all the way.
He was 14th in Whistler 2 weeks ago, 15th at the moment. So Polagnato with occasional performances at the top flight level before now.
Well, you got the 15th best start, and a good chance you finish from 15th at the bottom. That's what he did. Holcomb with the 9th best start. Well, he's an oxymoron. His ability to drive. Look at that skid. And boy, there's the opening of the doubles luge, women's luge start. You don't want to get to tip your sled over that way, and he was right at the end of that straightaway, tapping.
Next up for Australia, Lucas Matter with Gareth Nichols on the brakes. So Gareth and Lucas have been together as brakemen. They were both brakemen for Heath Spence, previously driving for Australia. Now Lucas with the backing of the Australian Federation. So he's got Gareth with him. 2 new guys have joined to make up their 4-man crew as well.
Here we go, boys. Okay, guys. Come on, buddy.
Stig basing himself in Calgary all over the summer, driving tourist bobs down the track, working at Canada Olympic Park.
Come on, big push, come on!
Yes, that's where they're going to be going back to. They won't be heading for the beaches of Australia for the Christmas New Year break.
Start time. They need. Lucas had a little problem, curve 18-19 with a 4-man sled earlier in the week. No, not a curve 1. You just want to be so perfect in this curve here. You see people tip over there in curve 3 before. And all that is a long way to the bottom. Upside down. Ooh, transitions. As the heads left to right. Relates to your transition on and off the curve.
Nicely under control, out of Benham's Bend and into the chicane. Oh, and just too far to the driver's right. Didn't take a big hit, but just ran up both walls. 17th spot for Lucas Matter. Only 19 sleds in the field, so when he goes through into the second heat and he tucks his head below the cowling, and his battle less with the Americans in the front of the field and more with those around him, with maybe Nick Polagnato, Edson Bindliati of Brazil, Loic Costeg of France.
17th best start, 17th best finish.
There we go. And right in front of him in 16th place, Ivo de Bruin, 16th fastest starter.
And hits, he should come straight. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, he took his
Doesn't
mistake
panic,
and hit,
takes the medicine. And here he comes just a little late off Benham's and into the first wall of the chicane, and then that guides him into the other one. But again, no steering, just rode it out.
Did pretty well there.
So here are the Brazilians, Edson Bingliati and Edson Martins behind him. And their coach Joe saying that they are really strapped for cash now, desperately running out of money.
Yeah, if there's some Brazilian person out there listening, these guys deserve some help. This is a very disciplined, well-coached group of athletes who are very focused. They just don't have a lot to work with.
Huge amount of heart. And with Joe and former world champion on this track, Nicky Minicello, looking after them, training them during the summer. Certainly come on a long way. Heading into Pyeongchang, this could be another cool running story. You know, the Jamaicans made that big wave in Calgary. Actually, the Brazilians doing a similar thing.
He's got a borrowed sled here.
Yep.
Struggling. You know, it's amazing. He likes the four-man better. You know, some people pick a guy, I like the tour, I like the, he's straight up. Says he likes the four-man better. Seeing them all in the four-man competition.
All right, tidied it up.
Nice.
Now he's getting the feel for the ice. Now, he may not have ideal runners. The colder the temperature is, the narrower the runners you want because they give you more feel. If you've got fat runners, the warmer ice, it just slides around more.
Tires.
Yeah.
In the race car.
There you go. If you use big fat tires in the snow, they just ride over the top. If you use thin snow tires, they cut into the snow and give you more grip, and that's exactly the way the runners work on the ice. If you've got fat fronts or fat rear runners here, you'll be skating around with very little control. It looks a little bit like that at the top of the track.
You're from England. What do you know about snow tires?
Hey, I know. I'm also from the 21st century, but I've heard of Beethoven's.
Look at the skid up there at the start. That's very... And then he's still got some issues down here in the exit of 3 and 4. Look at the skid. Now the opening, you better clean up that before you get over near that opening.
Final sled in the first heat of this second round of the two-man bobsleigh World Cup from France. Loic Kosterg with Vincent Castel behind him. Max Robert trying to get the crowd revved up a little bit. Listen, it's cold up there under that start awning. There's no sunshine. They need to make some noise and stamp their feet to keep warm.
Like a former prominent result person in the four-man bobsled. Did well last year at the World Championships in Innsbruck. Look at the calendar. Look at that splitting apart. That's a little...
That's the hands of the
efficiency, efficiency there.
Whoa. Now he has got his hands very full here. The front end all over the road and the back doing exactly the opposite to what the front is doing. He's really struggling for control.
This is a Bruno Marchand designed sled, I'm sure. His coach who's up at the top of the track. The bronze medalist from the 98 Olympic Games and world champion in Cortina in 99. Bruno knows how to deal with it.
Kosterg actually born in La Clan, now lives in Moutier, just down the mountain.
Doesn't have speed. 16th best start. Across the finish, 7th place. Speed wasn't that bad, but great. Look how clouded up his visor is there.
Really missed it up, isn't it? That's why a lot of... You can see he's got that little thing over the nose that motorcyclists have, but a lot of guys use gaffer tape to seal their nose and mouth off the visor.
Now let's check his visor out here. How's it looking here? Looks pretty clean. Okay. Look at the eyes.
He probably wasn't breathing on the way down. He probably just exhaled on the finish
tape on the front of that.
We'll have
doesn't sound like much, but we're dealing with hundreds of seconds.
1:29 again.
Well, didn't race here in January, so not too sure that he's actually raced a two-man down this mountain before, Loic Kosterg. Well, this man has. Stephen Holcomb, 5 times a winner in the last decade. Stephen Holcomb.
A couple medals last year in the two-man World Cup circuit, and people know he can still drive a bobsled. He proved it here. 9th best start, but What did he rocket on the bottom?
Well, he won on this track in January. He could win here in December as well. 2 two-man wins in the same calendar year. It's not beyond the bounds of possibility. Stephen Holcomb leads by 1300s, but look at the battle behind. Justin Olsen, Chris Spring, Alexander Kasyanov, 200s covering second, third and fourth. Cripps not out of the medals. Rico Pater with a good run could be in there as well. Yunjong won a career, probably not. He'll have to fight Maxim Andrianov and his teammate Kim to try and stay in 7th place. Alexei Stolnev just in the top 10 ahead of Cody Basques, who needs redemption in the second run, and behind them a tight battle between Rudy Rinaldi of Monaco, Lamin Dean of Great Britain, and then Nick Polonyato holding off the Dutch, the French and all comers. Well, that's it for the first of our 2 heats. The women's sleds will be down next, and then the 2-man will follow. Stay with us for all the action here from Lake Placid.